Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Brooks, and I teach at Fordham University in African and African American Studies. And I'm here to talk about the new video, This is America, by Childish Gambino. It opens with a black man playing a guitar. It actually opens with the guitarist sitting on a chair, and then it moves to Donald Glover's body, and the energy in the video changes very quickly. Okay, so that image of the guitarist being assassinated is very shocking. It's a way to call attention to something that Gambino is communicating that is, deadly serious, and it gets your attention at the very beginning. It's not gratuitous violence. At first I was questioning whether this was necessary in the video, and then I very quickly realized that this was absolutely necessary in the video. What is fascinating about that scene is that Childish Gambino strikes a pose that is an imitation of a pose used in an image of T.D. Rice, who was known as Daddy Rice, who created the character of Jim Crow and essentially created blackface minstrelsy, which was one of the United States' first mass popular cultural entertainments.
Mammy, I'm coming. I hope I didn't make you wait.
There is an image from 1833 of T.D. Rice in this very odd, angular pose. T.D. Rice was supposedly imitating the dance of a black stable hand who was handicapped, and then passed it off as authentic black dancing. It was not authentic. And Childish Gambino intentionally, clearly it's intentional, intentionally imitates that pose when he assassinates the man playing the guitar.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. I got the strap. Hey.
So what is important about this video? This video has meanings on a number of different levels. One of those levels is at the level of the lyrics, which are ironic. We just want to party, but clearly this video is not about partying. It is about the opposite of partying. It's a critique of this image of blacks as always wanting to party and always wanting to get money. But also, Childish Gambino, he is a brilliant actor in this video, and he could not do this video in this way if he was not capable of acting at the level that he's doing it and dancing at the level that he's doing it. It is about the mastery of the body, because he goes through a whole repertoire of different dance moves. Some of them are from videos that have gone viral, or black dance memes that have been picked up by the public.
Girls here with the big butt.
And he sort of goes through this repertoire of different moves, but what's happening on his face is really telling. He moves between a sort of deadly, serious expression to expressions that are comical or grimaces, very fluidly moves between one and the other to let the audience know that what they're seeing is not the only thing that's happening, that there's actually a critique of blacks being expected to perform in a certain way. And you can see that in this section. And the image of the black choir is clearly a reference to the 9 members of the South Carolina congregation who were murdered by Dylann Roof. And here, typically when a black choir is used in popular culture, it's supposed to reference this sort of universality of humanity, these higher values that are not earthly values. It's supposed to symbolize bringing people together and unity. But here, the black choir is a caricature. They're overly happy. The movements are a little bit exaggerated, which I think is also a critique in the way black culture is being used in commercial culture. And just as Dylann Roof ingratiated himself to those 9 African-American congregants, Donald Glover literally, as he dances in, he literally sidles into the scene very innocently, only to turn on the choir and then kill them, murder them with a semi-automatic weapon. And like Dylann Roof, he gets away. I think it's interesting that Childish Gambino's character fires the weapon. If there had been a white actor firing a gun at an African American, I think that would be too literal. And I think that this video presents a more complex picture than that. I think seeing Childish Gambino's character firing the gun forces us to question our own complicity, and by our, I mean African Americans as well.
Look how I'm geeking up. Hey, I'm so fitted.
Okay, so he returns to dancing with the children who represent these black dances that have gone viral. There's chaos increasingly throughout the video. There's more and more chaos in the background. It's not only a mob and cars on fire and people running back and forth, but it's also people throwing money as if, we're sitting there questioning who's getting paid and what are they getting paid for. It's very difficult to determine, what exactly is happening in the background. And it could easily be missed when you're watching what's in the foreground, the entertainment that's happening in the foreground.
Watch me move. This is selling. That's a tool.
And when the camera pans to the young people overhead who are surveilling the scene with their cell phone cameras, the lyrics say, "This is a celly, that's a tool." The voice in the lyrics shifts from a voice that's about, partying and getting money to ones that are a little bit instructive. Your cell phone is a tool. Your cell phone is a way to capture what is happening around you, and anybody can have one.
Work it. 100 bands, 100 bands, 100 bands. Contraband, contraband, contraband. I got the plug on who a hawker. Whoa. They gon' find you.
It's unclear to me why the figure in the back is riding a white horse. The white horse sometimes biblically is a symbol of Jesus riding in on a white horse, a symbol of victory. But it's also probably, if it's that, it might also be a reference to the lynching of African Americans in the South. The figure has a hood over his or her head, and my immediate association is with the thousands of African Americans who were lynched. And the lynching of African Americans was a violent means of social control. It was directed at African Americans who were successful, who were independent. And so for me, that's a reference to the ways in which the entertainment industry seeks to control black bodies. So for me, the scene with Childish Gambino dancing in the car reminds me of the image of Michael Jackson dancing on the car in some of his videos. And I think specifically of his 1991 video, Black or White. The last 4 minutes of the original video were deleted because they were seen as too violent, and audiences had trouble seeing Michael Jackson destroy a car. And there's also imagery of these cars from these sort of abandoned, these cars that seem to be abandoned, but most of them, it looks like the make of the cars are from the 1980s, and SZA is pictured sitting on one car. And I wonder if that's a reference to kind of an early moment in hip-hop culture. So when the camera pulls out of the warehouse through this frame, once again, the viewer is made to question whether this scene has been constructed for them, and whether what has actually happened within that narrative has actually really happened. And so once again, we're sort of questioning the reality of it all. And then it shifts to the rear view image of Gambino's character running away, and then the camera switches and is in front of Gambino, running away from something, and then we eventually see that it's a mob that he's running from. And what is striking about that scene is that as Gambino's character emerges from the darkness, the first thing that we notice are his eyes. and there's terror in his eyes. When we hear the stories of young black men and women being brutalized by the police and killed by police, we often hear the story after they've been murdered, but rarely do we get to see the look of actual terror that precedes the attack or precedes their death. And so I think one of the most powerful statements of the video is that we see a black man clearly with the look of terror in his eyes, which I think is extremely, extremely moving. I think most people would recognize it as a video that protests police brutality. I think for African Americans, it's about the limitations that are placed upon African Americans in terms of their forms of expression, in terms of their ability to express anger in a way that will be understood by the broader community and not caricatured or demeaned. For me, this video really raised the bar in terms of my expectations and hopes for popular music videos, and hopefully you learned a little something today, and I've left you with something to think about. Thanks.